So Elon said that the FCC commissioner they came out and said, look, Soros buying these 40 radio stations, there's 200 radio stations. This has never happened before. FCC never does mass issuing and transfer of licenses. It's unprecedented, et cetera. Look, I agree. And I think that the Telecom Act of 1994 ought to be overturned and repealed by Congress. They should repeal it. It's never gotten a fair hearing in court. It was the most disastrous thing that ever happened to broadcasting. It needs to be gotten rid of. But Soros can do this because of the Telecom Act of 1994. Now, this is not me endorsing it, but it has happened before, and I know because I was there. In 1997, I moved to Miami, Florida, and I went to work for a guy named Bud Paxson. All of my Florida bros, the real Josh K, Billy Payne, Ashley. You don't know this, but some of you may be old enough to remember this. Bud Paxson owned lots of radio stations and TV stations in all the major markets in Florida. Miami, Fort Walton, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, Orlando, Tampa, St. Pete, Fort Myers, Pensacola, Tallahassee, Jacksonville. Name your major market, and Bud Paxson owned radio stations in it. And in some markets, he owned TV stations. Well, the Mays brothers came in, Lowry and Brian Mays of Clear Channel, came in and they wanted all of Florida. They wanted to run and rule Florida for the Clear Channel empire. So they made Bud Paxson an offer he couldn't refuse, and Bud Paxson sold 46 radio stations. I know this because I was there. You talk about Billy Payne. You talk about being heartbroken. I thought I went to work for Bud Paxson. I met Bud Paxson. I wasn't there 2 weeks when the announcement was made. We just got bought by Clear Channel. We're all like, oh, because Clear Channel was the hulking menace evil in broadcasting. You got bought by Clear Channel. That means you were going to be disemployed very shortly. And we had a big hoop-de-doo meeting. They called us all together, and it wasn't one of the Mays brothers, but it was one of the regional guys came down and told us all was going to be well. No one was getting fired. They just lied. They wiped the sales departments out. They fire people, and back then, voice tracking was new, and they made they make you take an extra show so they can whack somebody. That's how they pay the loans back, by cutting the expenses, and employees are expenses. So I can tell you, on one day, 46 licenses changed hands from Bud Paxson and Paxson Communications to Clear Channel. So to say that it's never happened before is just not true. That's not true. It has happened before. And that wasn't the only time the Mays brothers did that. They brought out a company called J-Core. And I knew people that worked for J-Core. The J-Core guys were legendary in the FM talk radio business. I still talk to Gabe Hobbs, one of the guys there. So, dude, you people don't know. I know poop. I almost said it. I know stuff. I was there. And it is an absolute crap show. And if President Trump wants to do something about censorship, tell Congress to repeal the Telecom Act of 1994. And you know what? Soros won't be able to own 2 radio stations in one market. That's what Bill Clinton and the 1992-1994 Congress did. They made it so you can own as many radio stations in one market as you want. I think that the previous FCC policy was actually very well thought out. And I thought that when you could see the result. You can see the result. You weren't even allowed under the previous FCC policy. You weren't allowed in the congressional policy. You weren't allowed to own a TV station and a newspaper in the same market. You talk about ruining media. They did it. I don't know what Soros is going to do with 200 radio stations. The first thing is he has to obey Al Rushbo's slogan. Entertain, entertain, and entertain. If he doesn't do that, young people aren't listening to AM and FM radio stations very often these days. They get their hip-hop when they want it. They stream it and what have you. Radio still has a utility, but if you're not entertaining, doesn't matter who owns the station. So who were they going to be brainwashing with Soros speak? Old people listening to AM stations who are probably impervious to it and whose minds aren't going to be changed. Do I think that it should have happened? No, I don't think it should have happened. I absolutely think the FCC should have said no. And if the FCC doesn't say no, then I think the SEC, security, not the football conference, the the Securities and Exchange Commission, they ought to kibosh this. And all of you are right. Yeah, Soros is going to do exactly what you think he's going to do with it. Wouldn't you? I mean, he's buying the stations.
If I bought them all, they'd all have King Dude on them.
So Maggie says if she bought 200 stations, they would all have the King Dude on them. Oh, thank you, dear. Thank you. Well, that's 200 less stations. We're here. My syndication rollout is going to, that's not good news for me because that's 200 stations I got no shot of ever getting on. But then again, that's 200 markets or however many markets where they need me. They freaking need me. You know, I might send an appeal out to affiliate stations today. You know what? Soros is coming into your market, bro. You got an answer? No, and the syndicated schlock crap that you're serving up every day, that's not an answer. Mike Churchill is, bro. You should make the deal today.